Elgato has done it again. Not only have they released a brand new webcam, the Facecam 4K, using and going off the technology from the Mark II Facecam, but they've also added some really cool things to this. Not only do you get all of the regular Elgato stuff that you'd expect, but you can even add filters to the front of this, making this the first webcam to be able to add filters and customize the look using actual pieces of glass rather than just using software to do it. Let's get into this video and let's talk about the Facecam 4K. Before we get into this video, I want to go ahead and say thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like down below if you do enjoy the content, etc. And I just want to say special thanks to Elgato for sending this over. I am an Elgato partner now, so they're sending a bunch of product over for me to take a look at, and this video is going to be sponsored by them. That being said, you're going to get my unbiased review here, and let me tell you exactly how I feel about this new webcam. Now, I've currently messed with the settings to get the look that I currently have, and we're going to be showing off all of the polarizers and the filters and everything that they've sent over for me to go ahead and show you guys, but I just want to go ahead and talk about some of the specs of this camera and the things that you can expect. Inside the box, you are going to get a USB-C to USB-C cable, which is removable, which is absolutely lovely, as well as an attachment to be able to, you can do threading, you can attach it to a monitor, whatever the case, or put it on its own dedicated mount by using the 1/4-20 thread on the bottom. What you will see is that this does have a filter thread on the front for 49mm, allowing you to add as many filters that would be able to show on the front. We've got some really cool ones to show you today. This webcam is locked to f4.0 on this sensor, and it does not have any kind of autofocus. The whole room basically is in focus with how they've set this up, and it does have a field of view of up to 90 degrees if you don't zoom in inside their software. A couple of other key notes is that this does support up to 4K 60 capture at MJPEG, and the lower you go, the better compression rates that you can use with NV12 and some other things to get better quality and less compressed signal that you would normally get from MJPEG at 4K 60. And just for reference, what you're currently looking at with this camera is the MJPEG 4K 60. I love 4K 60. I think it's wonderful. And so far, this camera is performing really well. And yes, everything is in focus. I've locked down the ISO, I've locked down the exposure and everything to just make sure that I have a consistent shot for this video. And what you can see is basically my entire room, all of the stuff that's behind me. You can literally see all the Pokemon that's in this. It's really nice that you get this good of a quality from a webcam with this ability to have all of this control. Now, what really makes great cameras, in this case for webcams, is the software that comes along with it. So let me show you that. So here we are inside the Camera Hub software, and you're going to see me looking this way a lot because my monitor is right here and the camera is over here. So just expect that that's what's happening. I'm not looking away from you. Anyway, inside the Camera Hub software, there's so much to be able to do in here. Not only can you change to view the different formats from 4K 60 down to 1080p 60, which we can do right here, and you'll see that the compression will get a little bit better. I feel like it's a little bit sharper of an image at 1080p and even at 1440p, just based upon the compression rates that you get, which is really good. So if you like the 4K 60, go for it. But being able to crop in, I think that's the whole point of having 4K, is to be able to crop in and keep the resolution as it is. So for this, we'll do 4K 60 to put it at its absolute worst compression, whatever the case. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that's here. As you can see, there is a zoom FOV so that you can zoom in and control what that would be. And the benefit of this is that you can set presets on what these would be and then save them to something like the Steam Deck to be able to press a button and zoom into that point. Love that for punch-ins on stream. I think that's a really cool feature to be able to do. And to be able to zoom in as much as you want, you can look literally at my bald head. My son's literally getting used to saying, hey, calling me bald. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so what's really cool about that is all of this zoom and FOV. We can also do face tracking. And if we turn this on as I move, it will actually track me across the screen based upon how much I've zoomed in, which is kind of nice and sometimes a little clunky. So use it as you will. And all this stuff, again, is toggleable on and off and adjustable. It's so clean how they've made this. As you can see, it's at 1080p 60 YUY2 RAW right now. I guess I didn't drop it up to 4K 60. Let me do that now. Now we're at MJPEG. Yay, there we are. Now I can see my bald head in 4K. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Anyway, so we have other controls. We have contrast. It's currently at 55 out of the box, so we can control these up and down to be able to get any kind of control, kind of like where it was. Saturation obviously is going to be how punchy the colors are on and off. 70 was the default. I am going to bump it up just a little bit to give give it a little bit more punch to let the blue behind me stick out. I really like that. Sharpness, I think, came stock out of the box around 58 or so, but the higher you make this, obviously, the sharper the image. And I do like it to be sharper just because I do have a beard, and also I have some really cool stuff in the room that would pop out and kind of smooth that stuff out. Exposure, this is what I've turned off from the auto because obviously it's going to adjust based upon what's in here, but I'll turn it on so you can see it. This is how it was out of box, which I was not too much of a fan of. I have a pretty big key light right up here, and it definitely center weighted a little too high based upon that. So we could go ahead and do the average, which is even worse, and we can go ahead and do spot, which also is just as bad. So I'm not really happy with how this is. So if I set it to average, it's not that cool. So I like to turn it off and leave it right here. And the adjustments that I had is the shutter speed 1/60. I'm just using the same as my frame rate. And then the ISO, actually the recommendation in the call that I had with Elgato with a whole bunch of other creators is that around 800 ISO, which is crazy to think when you start talking about like really good video, when you're not shooting in log, just like a regular ISO on a camera. 800 is kind of high. Some people are going to roast me in the comments for that. It's fine, but they recommended like 800 is a pretty good place to start, especially if you're in a darker room, which I am. My room is literally dark with a bunch of RGB and one big key light as well as a kicker light above me to be able to reach this look. So I'm actually at 1161 on the ISO, and then they have a dynamic ranges of standard and wide. They even have high dynamic range based upon where you place the preview format or your resolution. They also have white balance. This is where you've got a temperature slider, but if you turn it on, you're actually going to see some of the color change. One of the things that they didn't put is like a hue or a tint setting so that we could be able to adjust it to be able to make those colors a little different. So I could adjust it maybe in OBS, but when I turn this off, I'm a little too red. And this is the closest I could get for my room, and based upon the lighting and everything I have to get as true to color, except it's just a little too red. And I wish I could be able to adjust the hint or the tint or whatever the case. And then at the bottom, specifically to this webcam, they have processing, which is just the noise reduction, off, low, medium, and high. We've seen these with the other cameras, but now they have custom where you can actually adjust the 2D noise reduction and the 3D to be able to see how much noise reduction you want to do and get a lot more finer control about what your final image is going to be. And I found a good sweet spot of just turning them up both just a little bit to achieve what you see right here. And now I've made all of these changes, and what I want to be able to do is on this camera, there's actually a save area, like an actual memory card on the camera. And when I click save, it doesn't matter how or when I replug this camera or into any other computer or this computer, it will remember the settings I just made. And when I plug it in there, it will save and keep those settings. It's really nice, especially if like OBS crashes or another software does, or if you've ever used a webcam that doesn't save, it's a game changer when it does save directly to the device. Oh, and also this webcam doesn't have a microphone, so you don't have to worry about it switching to your webcam mic when you're trying to use a dedicated mic. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to show you some of the filters that came across. So if you wanted to pick up something and customize it, that'd be great. You do need to know that when you purchase the Facecam, you have an option. You can either do the one with the polarizer filter from their website. You can do it with the polarizer filter, or you can get a lens cap. And go ahead and make that choice based upon what you want. The polarizer is to be able to help with any reflections that you would have on your glasses or things like that, or if you want a lens cap, pick that up. So that being said, let me go ahead and start showing you these lens filters. I'll just put like what the info is or which filter it is at the bottom, and then we might stack a couple of them to get a really cool effect, because if you didn't know, you can literally stack filters and just add on. Anyway, let's get into this little preview of filters. This is the KNF star filter, the 4-point star filter. This is the KNF 6-star filter, and this is the KNF 8-star filter. You can see them up on the RGBs up here. All of these things that occur. It's so cool how I love it so much. This is the KNF 8th power of the black diffusion filter. Here's the KNF black diffusion, the 1/4 inch power. And here's the 1/4 and the 1/8 black diffusion filters stacked on top of each other on the front of this lens. And this is the moment where I'll probably mention that you can probably only put maybe 2 filters before you start getting vignetting. As you see, as I start to screw one of these out, you start to see up in the corner just a little bit of vignetting. So you can probably only get like 2 filters on here max. You can also go with some really unique looks, like this is the Walking Way soft retro soft filter. I actually really like how this feels like I'm taking pictures on like an old disposable camera. It's pretty cool. This is a macro lens attachment that's on here. I look way out of frame, but watch this. I mean, look if I bring this close. I mean, this is just an Xbox controller, but this is like a close-up kind of filter to be able to do some really cool adjustments. And this is what filters allow you to do. You take a normal like lens on a camera and you can do some other really neat things. I mean, that's some pretty high quality out of a webcam to have a close-up like that. Let's see what else we got. And this is another close-up lens, but honestly, it puts the focus directly on me, and honestly, adds just a little bit of bokeh behind me, which is pretty cool. And I'm gonna be honest, I like this filter itself. I'll make sure again, all the information's down at the bottom, but this is a really cool one. Just this filter specifically. I love this. Here's another close-up, kind of like a product one. This is a +4 strength. The previous one was a +1. The first one was a +10. This is a +4, and you can see that it definitely adds a lot of like break in the background, the bokeh, which is really cool. It allows you to kind of shift that focus onto the piece. And again, this is the same webcam that we've been using this whole time. I've got one more of these close-ups. And here's a close-up +2, and everything I said about the +1 being my favorite, this is the first time I've seen this one. I genuinely enjoy this. This is like adding another piece of glass. It's just literally what we're doing, adding another piece of glass in front. And again, I'll just show a little B-roll of how I'm adding these on here right now. But man, I actually love the way this looks. This is close-up +2 in this kit. Oh my God, this is crazy good. What if we add a black mist on here? That's what I want to see. Now we definitely have a little vignetting in the top just because of the actual filters, but I could crop in and just get rid of that. But this is this +2 out of this close-up kit plus a black diffusion quarter strength. Man, this actually looks really good. And here's for reference. For reference, this is my main A-cam. This is a Sony FX30 16mm prime from Sigma f1.4. This is my normal look, right? And here's what I'm getting out of a webcam. It's nuts. Again, this is 2 filters to achieve this look, but the fact that I can have all of this customization and try all of these lenses and the stuff that's been sent over, it's nuts. And the sky is the limit because you can just purchase a new piece of glass. That's why filters on cameras and lenses are so cool, is because you could have one look off your lens, but just adding another piece of glass on the front completely changes. Now I kind of want to take it off and see what it looks like without it. The camera's fine without it, but the filters, it makes it so much better. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So let's wrap this video up. What's my thoughts on the Facecam 4K from Elgato? First up, let's talk price. It is $199. That's if you can buy it on the website. I'm sure eventually it'll go on sale possibly, but for the stock base price MSRP, it's $199. And some people might think, that's kind of high, but to be honest, to be able to get a webcam, not to have to worry about dealing with a camera and finding lenses and everything, but a webcam 4K, uncompressed 1080p 60 and some other settings. It's so cool that you can get 4K 60 webcam quality, all of the stuff that you get with the software and filters and threads that you can be able to adjust everything on the front. I think that's the selling point of this piece of gear. And I think when you start talking about the ease of being a streamer or content creator, if you can remove the blockers out of being able to create content and you can just get started by hitting record and you don't have to worry about rechanging your settings, you hit save, it saves it to the device. If you want to be able to set your look, you can, get the stuff that you want. You can get the camera and get started. Later, you're like, I want to add some cool little touches, but I don't want to have to buy a new webcam or use a piece of software. You can literally go and get like another piece of glass, like another filter to add onto the top of your webcam to add something new. The other thing that's really good about it is the removable USB on the back to be able to get whatever cord that you want and length that you want. It's a 5 gigabit speed USB 3 cable to be able to achieve that. And as far as this camera goes, I have no issues. I literally plugged it into a hub with it really honestly shouldn't support the 5.0 over it, but I plugged it into direct as well as through that and I never had any issues. So GG's Elgato for compatibility. This does work straight out of the box, but you can download the Camera Hub software and it works great. Again, everything saves directly to this. So if you want to plug it into other computers or stuff, it's all there and ready to go. And that's pretty much it for the stuff that's really awesome about it. The one, or actually two things that I think really need to be addressed on this are probably software and things you can adjust in the future. Number one, in Camera Hub software, I think we asked this question during the meeting, can you please add tint to the white balance? And I think that might be something that's added in the future. I hope for white balance to make sure that we can get the correct color. And number two is actually just a webcam problem. And I don't know if you technically can solve this through software. And this is probably just one of those things that why I like using another solution is when I use the webcam inside OBS, I can't use it in another software. For example, while I'm controlling and making the adjustments inside of Elgato Camera Hub to see what's happening, I can't have it up in OBS at the same time. And sure, I can hide the preview and have it in both places and use the thing. I just wish that at one point and someday in the future as a webcam, we can do multi-app and be able to pull it up in multiple applications. Sure, you can do this in OBS and do the like virtual camera and all that. I know it's possible. I know there are workarounds. I'm just talking about natively from the camera. I'd love to see that. And I don't think there's any webcam on the market that does this, so it's not like Elgato specific. But as far as webcams go, I would love to see that. And the reason I say that is this camera right here is going into an Elgato 4K Pro, which is their capture card. And I love the capture card because it has multi-app support. So I can open it up in multiple applications, whatever the case. That was a huge rant, but Elgato, if you could fix that and make that possible, that'd be so cool. I'd love that. Thank you. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this review. If you want to pick it up, as always, there's links down in the description. Go pick one up for yourself. I'll go ahead and put a bunch of filter links in the description, the ones that we used today in this video. Thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you check out one of these two videos that are on the screen now. One of them is actually the previous comparisons to the Facecam, and then we'll be doing another updated version of that with this camera being a part of it, bringing us up to 5 cameras in that one video just from Elgato. Yeah, thank you so much. Love you all. You'll have a great day. We'll see you next time.